HabaTech STEM Club, where we understand the basic concept in technology, mostly programming. So, but before we dive in, we want to understand why is it necessary for us to learn this that we are doing, whatever we are starting from the evolution of economic value exchange. The end product of whatever we are doing is how do we become relevant in society? How do we get value from whatever you are learning? Understand how money flows. You can only get money from exchanging of values. You exchange a value, you get money. I can only give you my money if you solve my problem or you provide a value system that is relevant to the society. So we are going to see the evolution. How does value keep on exchanging to what we have today? So quickly let's dive in. That there was a beginning of evolution of humans. So God created heaven and earth for the Christians, and for the scientists, they say that man was formed from rock and the rest. So whatever you believe, we are not here to dispute it, but we all know that the world started from somewhere, and from the onset of the world to 18th century, that's what we are going to look at. So people exchange value at that period. So now, how do people exchange value at that period? Main aspect that time was land and natural resources as wealth foundation. So what drives that economy was mainly farming, livestock, and manual labors. Our founding parents were all interested in marrying so many wives so that they will have enough children to farm on their farmland. And after that, the colonial masters came and because they needed labor, you need enough labor, and it was about slavery. So they have to buy slaves to work on their farm. So what was driving that economy mainly was what farming, livestock, and manual labor. So the more maple you have, the more wealthy you are. The more livestock you have, the more wealthy you are. The more farmland you have, the more wealthy you are. So that was the value. That was the exchange value for that. For that. Now, furthermore, we go. So the wealth holders was mainly kings, Pharaoh of Egypt, the miners, the Mali empires. Those days they had a lot of gold, so they were the rich people. Of course, you know that the table have turned around now. So during those era, Africans have more land max. They have more fertile land, so they were the wealthiest before the colonial, before during these early centuries. So they were the wealthiest. So and that's it. So the exchange value, remember the exchange value those days. You will say that you exchange food, you will get money, or you exchange raw materials, which is gold mainly. You will get money, or you exchange labor, which is the labor that we are exchanging those days was those slave trade. So that was how people was wealthy those days, and the power was controlled mainly was what land control. So what they do is they come over your land. If two king fight and they became more, and one of them become more powerful, the second person will have to bow, and he takes control of his resources and his land, and that is it. So after this now, fast forward to the next century. So the next century leads us to the industrial age. The industrial age. Now people now found out that instead of having 50 people to work on my farm or to work on my this thing, what I could do and to process my product, what we could do was when machines was started coming out, people started developing evolution of machines that could do those work that 50 people could do. Do you understand? That was what reduced the value from labor. So it's no longer the amount of people that you have, rather how amount of machine you have that could produce those things. Manual labor, that same manual labor that you have 50 slave or 1,000 slave to do, a very good machine like two of them could do a work of 1,000 people. So people were like, the value chain have now left from having enough, so having a lot of wives to having less about having enough machines that could do your work. And we go the next. Then what was driving that economy those days was what? Mechanization, trade, and mass production. Now I must know that this was when education, the formal education, came into play, because they needed people to work to have knowledge to work on those machines. And that was why schooling system started. And people to manage how people use those machines. That's how we had those courses those days. That we have economists, we have mass communication, we have engineers, and so on and so forth. So at the course of this program, we found out that this, due to the advent of technology, more courses keep on coming out, and the more academic programs keep on coming out. But the limitation is that most of us doesn't know, because we are still stick to the kind of education introduced during the industrial sector. So that is it. Then the next thing we have is the wealth holders those days was those people that were producing machine. Example was Rockefellers, Ford, all those Macy's and the rest. So they were the main major players. They were major players on the game those period. So that was when German was the world power, because they had the ability to produce a lot of machineries. So the exchange value those days was the manufactured goods. That was the exchange value, and the wages. And that was when salary comes in play, where you work for long and you gain a salary from what you just finished. So that is the exchange value. So let's see the power. The people that had power those days is no longer people fighting all over. The people that has power now during this era was what? The industrial ownership. The industrial ownership. So those people that had a lot of power to go create enough industry. So that's the people that owns the power. Now, fast forward to the next one, the next information age. This information age now is where the game become more interesting. So people that had money those days, that had a lot of machines, were ruling. No longer an amount of machine you have that will give you an access. Now the access of this age, this particular century now, is information and knowledge. The number of things you know, that's what is driving the economy. And that's, if you take a normal illustration, if you check the age of the owner of Facebook, for example, Mark Zuckerberg and Dangote, and you check the number of years that they have been in business, you find out that Mark Zuckerberg is far richer than Dangote. Not because remember Dangote have a lot of machines. That means Dangote is still in the industrial era. Why the value chain have changed now? The people no longer value the number of machines. What gives you access now is no longer the number of machines you have, but the number of knowledge you have. And that's why Mark Zuckerberg is now richer than Dangote. If we should reverse it now, if we should reverse the game, we find out that Dangote will still be where they are. Before Mark Zuckerberg will reach the level of Dangote in the industrial age, it might not be possible, because it will take him all his life to reach that. But the value system have changed now to what? Knowledge and information. So that's your own asset. Just like people were having land those days. So what your asset now is the knowledge you have and information you have. So what is now driving this same economy now is what? The computers, the internet, and digital data. The computers, the internet, and what? Digital data. That is the driving force of this particular economy. So the world holders are what? Bill Gates, Stephen Jobs. So most of those top wealthy, if you check the list of wealthy people now, presently now, if you check the list of wealthy people, all of them are into technology. They are into technology, one of or what is either one way or the other. Because the age they are in now is in the information age. Information age. So that makes sense now. So now this same economy now, what is the value chain of this economy? The value chain of this particular economy is the value exchange of this economy is softwares, IPs, and what data. So in this information age now, in the information age that we are now, the present value, someone that has enough data, it's not your service provider's internet subscription. It simply implies the number of information you have about the world is the person that is ruling the world. For example, now the Google Map has virtual information of all the part of the world. They are the one ruling. Google are now ruling in terms of data. Google have your information once you've has information of virtually everyone in the world. So that is it. So that particular set of data they have that they command is what makes them powerful. For example, the artificial intelligence that we are looking at today was developed from the past data owned by Google in the internet. So that was what they used to train the machine. So at the course of this lesson, we will also be able to see through how to train our own AI models and at least to understand the concept. So the essence of what I'm saying is that the owner of the world, the wealth of the world is in data. So the more data you have, the more uh, money, the more value you have, and the more exchange you get. So that's it. So the power based on what access to technology and the networks. So the for you to be powerful these days now is you must have a good intelligence system, and that's why uh, America now is one of the powerful military now is no longer those that could eat acheke that has power, physical power. No, it's the amount of technology intelligence in your network security network where people can program a drone now. It will go and bomb another country entirely. Have you seen? It's no longer the amount of the your physical strength this time around. That is what you know that is driving the economy at this particular age now. It's now what you know that is driving the economy. No longer the your number of land, the number of gold, the number of whatever you have. It's no longer the physical strength, but what the innovations of what you have. Now, finally, before we cut it off, evolution. Remember that we are talking of evolution. So now the next evolution that we are proposing is the internet. Everything you are doing in the internet in Web 2 is being owned by someone and can easily be monitored by you. Anything at all. Once you are on the internet, you can easily be tracked and monitored. So people, the decentralized system is how do we decentralize it that no single person has authority over the other? That's the technology that is trending now. So no single person has the authority over the other. For example, now the main asset at this point is trust, community, and decentralized networks. Trust, community, and decentralized network. So now, for example, uh, the what is driving this economy is that what will drive the economy because we are no longer we are still trying to adapt it presently now. We are still mainly at the information age. That's where we are presently. So this one is just coming in gradually. So this point now is the blockchain technology. Web3, the blockchain technology is where remember we are talking of decentralized, where no one has access to. For example, now the Bitcoin, you must have heard of Bitcoin. It's the most popular blockchain technology everyone know. It's not all about the money part, but due to the fact that we we could they have checked the whole characteristics of money and they were able to implement it in this blockchain technology under under Bitcoin. So it is now decentralized in the sense that no single individual have a control over Bitcoin. Then the fact that he doesn't have control over it, they now made a central ledger whereby every transaction is transparent to everyone. If I send money now from Bitcoin, it can be explored. You can go to the blockchain and check where the money has gone to. But the limitation of this now is that just like when someone scam you in bank, if a scammer scam you in bank and send out your money, the money will land in a particular place, isn't it? When the money lands in a particular place, you've seen where the money is landed, and we can easily go to the bank and complain. But this one is once your money is taken from your wallet, It is decentralized. No other people has authority to it, and that's why they come to some country. Most world powers are fighting this particular technology. So apart from the Bitcoin aspect of it, which is currency, have other technologies we could use this thing to do. For example, in a voting system, if this is adapted in a voting system, no one can alter, not even one person can alter the vote of one of the voted person, because each block transaction is visible to everyone. So that's what we call transparency. Remember, the asset now is trust and community and decentralized. So these are the distance and that is it. So the value exchange now is tokens, reputation, pair collaborations. And the power that powers this thing is what? Transparency, ownership, and sovereignty. So example is what? The Ethereums and decentralized DAOs. So the Ethereum you are hearing is just a blockchain. It's just like a platform where you can develop a smart contract and it's very fast. So all these things might look complicated, but the purpose of this is for us to watch to get the overview of what this is all about. From our statistics, we found out that most students don't understand the present trending technology because they still stick at the foundation of education, which is what? The industrial age education. So we keep on we are going to watch and look towards this part subsequently. Okay, thank you for your patience.